Hi there, it's Pranav from DBS Diary. How are you doing today? Good morning, afternoon, or evening, depending on your location, wherever you are today. Welcome to my channel, and it has been great talking to you over last few months. And today we'll cover 15 questions for Sybase interview, and these questions will be a little bit more tricky, and it is for more experienced and for those ones who have really good span of careers, and they have really worked on no competitive environment, and they are well versed with Sybase environment and no different components of it. Okay, so I would expect these answers. uh, Answers will not be straightforward. It could be depending on your experience, how you tackle it, and it again depends which method you like most. Okay, so let's start. So 15 questions, and this is for experienced and little bit more challenging questions. Okay. So let's start. So first question will be, what is spin lock and what is spin lock contention? Okay. So this is something which we face in our day-to-day life as a DBA. Okay, and this can be checked from Sysmon output when you run Sysmon at a periodic interval, and then you go to the cache segment of output, and then you figure it out. So what is spin lock and what is spin lock contention? So spin lock is something which is very much required. This is a mechanism by Sybase to keep data synchronized. Okay, and then the next part comes contention. So any contention is not good. So spin lock is something when there is a cache segment that if there is any modification to that segment, that time the engine of that Sybase of Sybase, it stops access to that cache for all other processes. So at that point of time, all other process which requires access to cache keeps spinning. Okay, and hence the utilization of CPU engine, the CPU goes high. Okay, so spin lock is required, but contention is not required. Okay, so let's see the answer. This is the basic thing, and it happens only in the SMP environment, symmetric multiple processor. So it will not be there if you have no only one core of engine. It will not be there. Now again, we have two concepts: single thread and multi-thread, right? So in single thread it may happen, but in multi-thread the possibility of that is higher. Now again, there are multiple things of spin lock. So let's see like what is the answer that we should give. So I would just go through some of the things that I have noted from multiple resources, and we should see. But as I said earlier, answer depends on your experience, and answer is something which depends again on the situation that you have faced. Okay, and whichever condition you would like to bring upon for interviewer. Okay, so spin locks are lightweight synchronization primitives which are used to protect access to shared resource. Okay, the spin locks can only be updated automatically when the resource is accessed to perform a user task. Now, in a multi-engine server, synchronization mechanism are needed to protect shared resources. So as I said earlier, this is one of the method for Sybase ASE to keep data synchronized. Okay, so this is what it says, next line. So, and it reports the number of times an engine encounters spin lock contention on the cache. So the access it doesn't get from the engine, so it keeps spinning. Okay, so all that blocking is counted against the total number of access it required. So there is comparison of number of grabs and number of waits. So that's how it is measured. Okay, so a spin lock denies all other tasks access to the cache while changes are being made. So this is just to keep the data synchronized so that you can modify only one time, only while the modification is made, that time you can't access the cache. Okay, so it is at the CPU level and at the cache. So now this is about the contention. Now how do you resolve it? So resolution could be there. You can increase the number of partitions. okay, named partitions, and you can also increase the number of cache. Okay, so these two things are there. And then it is again, as I said, so this is something, it when a task modifies a data item which is shared, it must first hold a spin lock, but spin lock is hold for very less period of time. Okay, so it should be, holding is important, but the releasing should happen immediately, it should not hold. If it holds it for a longer period of time, then that's when the issue starts. Now there is one more thing that we should check. It prevents another task from modifying the value at the same time, which is very much required. Now the other thing that we should check is, if the cache hits per second is high and goes up with CPU busy percent, then you are not looking at the spin lock. I mean, there is no issue with the spin lock. Then you are having actual issue with CPU, and you should check the other issue, like you have to support your query with the index, or you have too many index and there are so many updates going on. So based on your condition, you have to have a resolution for this. But when CPU usage increases, but measurement of throughput, like no committed transaction, cache hits, these things are normal, it is not going high, then that's when you have to see the spin lock contention issue, and you will be able to see that yes, it is not nothing but spin lock contention. You can measure this. There is a MDA table, mount spin lock activity. You can query from this, and then you will find out how much spin lock is actually happening in your environment. You can refer to this article. I found this is very good from SAP Sybase, so you can refer to this. Okay, so let's go to the next question now. Now we have seen spin lock. So spin lock, as I said, it's at the engine level, okay, or at the cache level. So what is the difference between spin lock, latch, and table lock? All three are locks, right? Spin lock, latch, and table lock. So I will give you a moment to think about it. I have already explained about spin lock. Now latch is nothing but at the data page level. Okay, so this is applicable when a modification is being made to one page. Okay, so any table which is having locking mechanism as data page or data row, that latch will come into the picture. It will not come into the picture wherein we have all page mechanism. Okay, but table lock is not something which is dependent on page. It could be on multiple pages, or it could be complete table itself could be locked. Latch will be for very short period of time, whereas table lock could be locked for extended period of time. There is no any mechanism of that. Okay, so let's see, I have put something here. So latches are non-transactional synchronization. Okay, it is again used to guarantee the physical consistency of a page. So page is nothing but, now it depends on the size of your page, how you have defined it. It could be 2K, 4K, 8K, depending on that. So while rows are being inserted, updated, or deleted, only one server process can access it. Okay, that is to maintain the consistency and integrity of that data page. Okay, so it is applicable for data page and data row, so not for all page locking. Okay, the most important distinction between lock and latch is the duration. Latch will be for very short period of time, but table lock could be there for longer period of time. Okay, now how to solve it? So for the table lock, you, as you know, you can you may need to support your query with the index, with the right index, with the right columns in that, and also in the right order. Okay, and you have to find like what is the hotspot, why is it happening. It could be because of all page mechanism of locking. It could be because it's a heap means the table which does not have clustered index. Okay, so you have to find all that, and then you have to take a call. So we know spin lock, latch, and table lock. So all three are locked, but these three are at different levels. So spin lock is at the cache level or at the engine level. Latch is at the data page level, whereas table lock is something different. Okay, what is row forwarding in Sybase? Row forwarding is something when you update a row in a table. Okay, and that update is so big, or it is not able to fit into one page. Okay, so then it has to move into another page. So that is something called page split. So whenever this will happen, this phenomena will happen wherein the page will be split, that's when row forwarding comes into the picture. So in case of row forwarding, the reference will be on the main page, but the actual content will be shifted to another page. So in this operation, whenever row forwarding will happen, you need to always scan two pages, whereas when there was no row forwarding, it was scanning only one page. So whether it's for update or for insert or for delete, for select operation also, you need to refer to two pages. Okay. So if an update makes a row too long to fit on its current page, the row is forwarded to another page. Okay, and the reference to the row is maintained. I am keeping this as a reference so that we can also see that whatever is official which has been explained, we should not scatter from there, we should not deviate from there. Okay. So, and as I mentioned earlier, answer, it again depends how you answer the question. It could be different based on person to person and based on experience, but questions are more important. So if you know answer to all these questions, this will certainly help you in cracking interview and being a more knowledgeable person. Okay, so let's go to next question now. What is deferred update and when it is required? So deferred update is something wherein you can't perform direct update. Okay, for example, you have a table which is having primary key clustered index on name column. Okay, and you are updating name column of the same table based on name column. So then it can't perform a direct update. It has to copy it somewhere. It has to copy, then it has to perform the update. That's when it is called as deferred update. Now when it is required, so when this kind of issues are there, when this kind of conditions are there, when as I said, you are updating the primary key having condition of primary key, or you have referential integrity, or you have foreign key. So in those cases we need to perform this operation. Okay, so which is having self joins, self referential integrity, now table reference in correlate to subquery. So all these places we need to have deferred update. Now deferred update, since it has to copy it somewhere for updating, it will be slower. Okay, it will be having more logical reads. Okay, it will do more write operation into transaction log. Okay, so all this thing will happen. So direct update is much better in terms of performance than deferred update. Okay, so it will incur more overhead than direct update because they require adaptive server to reread the transaction log to make, because it has to copy it first, it has to update, then reread transaction to commit it. Okay, so it is additional traversal of the index tree. Now difference in direct update and deferred update, so this I already explained. So direct update is preferred over deferred update as far as performance is concerned. Okay, so in case of deferred update, the changes are not applied immediately to database, it is after that. But in immediate update, the changes are applied directly to the database. So incur more overhead than direct update because they require adaptive server to reread the transaction log. So this is something which I explained you. Okay, so far so good. 5 questions. Now let's go to the next question. Now in the execution plan, suppose you see this below message. Okay, so it says query plan is recompiled due to tab missing. The recompiled query plan is, and then it gives you details of your plan. Okay, so what is the meaning of this? So this you may not see quite often, but once in a while you are working on improving the performance of query, while it is being used by other applications or development environment. So in these places you might see it. In production, the chance of that is less, but it's not that it cannot happen. It can very much happen. So as you can see, it is recompiled to tab missing. Okay, and it is recompiled. So that means it has really been recompiled. So this error message means that something has changed and the query plan needs to be recompiled, to be normalized again. Now it could be because some object ID has been modified, something has forced the process to recompile. Okay, something has changed, some or other things have changed which has impacted the query plan, or the cache has been cleared. okay, or the cache became full, okay, so it had to perform the MRU and LRU operation, okay. So in any of these cases this can happen. There is nothing to be concerned about it. This may not happen again and again, but you can see this in the execution plan. Okay, let's go to the next question now. So in the execution plan you again see something different. So it says query plan is recompiled due to schema connect. The recompiled query plan is, what is the meaning of this? So the previous one was tab missing, this one is schema connect. Okay, so in this one, when recompiles the statement, that's how it happens. So it is, as you can see, it is schema connect. So somehow it got disconnected and then it has got reconnected. Okay, so that's how it has been recompiled. Okay, nothing much to be concerned about, but just for sake of knowledge you need to know this thing, that it may happen. Okay, and it could be asked, because there are some interviewer who wants to understand whether you have really working knowledge, have you ever seen this, because these things may not be known by someone who has not got the working experience on Sybase DB, on Sybase ASE. Okay, now this is in place upgrade of Sybase ASE and migration. Have you ever performed it? If yes, would you prefer it? And what is the bottleneck and all that. But question is, how will you perform in place upgrade of Sybase ASE and how will you migrate the databases? Okay, so there are multiple ways of doing that. Okay, let's see like few options. Okay, so here we are covering update from 15.7 to 16. Okay, because this is the latest one we have. So first thing is shut down the old SAP ASE instance. Okay, then if the new version of SAP ASE is installed into a different directory than the old SAP ASE, that will obviously will happen. Then copy the server entry from the old interface file, because interface file will contain server name, the IP name, or I mean it should be one of that, and the port number. So it should contain that. Then you have to copy the server name.configuration file, because configuration file will contain everything about your settings, okay, about your configurations, okay, to the new directory. Start the new SAP ASE instance with the old master device from the old server and run the upgrade executable. Okay, so this actually is pretty straightforward thing, and you need to check whether it is succeeded or no. You have to see the log, and if until it is succeeded, you have to keep running it, and then you will be able to upgrade it. This is one of the method. Okay, then there is another method which is utility tool, SQL upgrade tool. This is another method, you can use it. Now in this there are multiple prerequisites that you have to follow. Okay, like set the old Sybase ASE variable, then you have to see the OCS environment, then the upgrade utility that is run. So there are many things in this. Okay, so I will not get into each of these details, but yes, there are multiple ways in which we can perform the in place upgrade and we can perform the migration. It will require more downtime. It is a risky process. It can be rolled back. I'm not saying that it cannot be rolled back. It can be rolled back, but then you need to perform multiple things, and you need to keep in mind that you have to like go to and fro to check the log whether it has worked or no. Okay, and you need to have proper backup in place. You need to have sys logins. There are many sys table that you should have backup before starting this process. You should have backup of all databases, so everything you should have ready in place, then you should start these things. Okay, so finally select version, and then you will see it has been upgraded. It can be done in place upgrade. Now next question is, what is safe and faster way to upgrade Sybase? In my preference, or what I have been doing so far, I have not done in place upgrade in production environment. Okay, in UAT development, yes, it has been done and it can be done. Now how I perform is, I prepare another server, okay, with the latest version of Sybase, wherein I have to do, okay, I install Sybase, I do all the changes, configuration as per the new environment. Like if I have the new server, which means I will most likely have higher memory, I will have higher CPU. So I will do all the configuration, and then number of open object, number of indexes, number of those things I will copy from the previous one, okay, whichever is required and specific to application. I will copy it here. Then I will take the backup from there, will restore it here, will do all the testing, and prior to that I will transfer sys login, sys role, sys server roles, everything here, so that login password is in sync. Okay, there is no issue on that. Access is in sync. I will ask development team or application team or whichever team is involved to perform testing. If testing is fine, succeeded, okay, then at the time of cutoff, what I will do is I will take the full dump from the old environment, okay, and we'll restore it here. We'll keep in not online mode. I will not run like online database. I will keep it in the restoring mode, and I will ask for cutoff time. It could be half an hour, 1 hour, whatever. At that time, I will take a tran backup, okay, or cumulative backup, whichever works for me in that environment. We'll take that, we'll restore it, shut down that server, start this server with the old IP and old host name with the same port number, and all surrounding system will work as it is, no change at all. So this is the safe and faster way. Faster in the sense you will need to have very less downtime. This is how I perform, and this has been most reliable way, and there's a very safe rollback in case something does not work on the, it has to work because we have already tested everything, but in case it doesn't work, there is a safer and faster way to roll back also, because we shut down the old new server and we already had IP and other things, so we start that server and data is as it is. So what we missed is only that half an hour, 1 hour window time. Okay, so this is how we do. In place upgrade of Sybase replication, so this is again like we can perform as we have been doing. Okay, so this one there are multiple ways again. So upgrading the rep server by overwriting an existing directory, this is one way. Second one is installing to a new directory. Okay, and then there is an option with the upgrade option, with the upgrade configuration, you can say, and this will help you in upgrading that. And the last one which I have been performing is use rs_init, and it does update automatically. You don't have to do it much. You just need to perform or provide the information that it is asking you one by one, and it will perform update from RSST and replication server one at a time. Okay, so this is how I do it. Now it depends how you have performed, but these are the ways that you do. Okay, but before performing any of this, you have to clear the queue, okay, so that there is nothing pending like transactions, and shut down the replication. Shut down the replication process, not the server. Okay, so far so good. Now how to list top 10 CPU intensive process. So as you know, we have MDA tables in Sybase, so we have to use one of that. Okay, CPU, which means it's a CPU time. Okay, when we talk about CPU, which means how much time of CPU has been consumed by that process. That's how we measure it. Okay, so we have MDA table, which is nothing but mon process activity. So you can run the query from here. Okay, SPID login, you can just use function here, and then CPU time from master.mon process activity, order by CPU time. So it will give you the SPIDs which has been consuming the most CPU time. A straightforward thing. Okay, so again, now what is the process from where you will get the top 10 physical IO, most intensive physical IO processors. Okay, so again same thing, it has got, instead of using CPU time, you can use physical reads. Okay, same MDA table, mon process activity. So this will actually help you in finding both CPU time as well as physical IO. Okay, so far so good. Now difference between logical IO and physical IO, this is pretty straightforward question. So logical IO is nothing but you are reading from the cache or from the memory, but physical IO is nothing but you are reading from the disk. So physical IO is always not advisable. If you have physical IO operation, that means you are either having issue with memory or your query is reading too much of data, which is not very much advisable, which is not very much recommended. Okay, so next question, how do you list all the configurations which is not set at its default value, which means it has been changed. Okay, suppose you have joined an organization and you want to see all this thing, because you cannot just go and change everything. No, you have to see what is the thing which has already been changed. Okay, now in that you have to find out which one is optimum and which one is not, whether you need to touch all of them or which one you need to touch. So this is straightforward. You can run the query sp_configure and non-default. Okay, this will list all the thing which is not set at its default value. Okay, now last question, how to check the status for all configurations. So status means what is the configuration value right now. Okay, this also helps in finding out whether anything is being reused or what. So like number of open objects, number of, there are things wherein if it is being reused, that means it will have performance overhead. So those things you need to increase it. Okay, so it has to be changed over the period of time. So this is sp_monitor config, and then you can pass the parameter all, and this will list all the things which has been running now and what is the status of it. So this is all. So these 15 questions, but these questions I'm sure it will help you, okay, to have more in-depth knowledge of Sybase. Okay, and this will also help you in cracking interview. So thank you very much. Thank you for watching my channel, and as I requested you earlier, if you like this, please like, comment and subscribe to my channel. This will help me, this will motivate me to have more and more videos. Okay, so thank you very much. Have a nice day.